Before your gut reacts, before your hormones shift, before inflammation spikes, your nervous system speaks. If you feel inflamed, anxious, puffy, wired and tired, or like your whole body just won't shut off, for me, it was shaking inside. I could actually feel like my body was vibrating all the time. That's your stress system running the show. So today I'm going to show you how stress becomes chemistry and how calming your nervous system becomes one of the most powerful tools for recovering in autoimmune disease. So comment and let me know if stress controls your body. For me, I always thought it was my personality until I got a diagnosis where I found out that feeling like this wasn't quote unquote normal. So, hi, I'm Jen. I'm a culinary coach, a whole food plant-based culinary coach, a health educator, a master herbalist, and I'm someone who learned the hard way that stress can undo even the best diet because I'm all about the food. I've always loved food. I went to culinary art school, oh my gosh, almost 30 years ago. And I've been studying health and nutrition for just over 30 years. That's insane. And so I used to think I could eat anything. I could out eat any kind of disease, right? I have perfected the food. I've been studying nutrition for so long, using my culinary arts degree, studying food, going to all these different schools and taking all these classes in nutrition and food. And it turns out you can't out eat stress. Your nervous system sets the tone for your hormones, your digestion, your immunity, your inflammation, all of it. So today we're going to talk about the chemistry behind stress and what it does to your body. Stress causes a biochemical reaction. So here's what happens inside the body. Your brain, maybe your eyes, so usually it's your eyes or your ears. You hear something scary, you see something scary, or maybe you're just looking at your to-do list for today, right? You get this stress response. Your body senses danger. It doesn't know it's just your to-do list. That's not what our bodies were created for. You know, when man first came on earth, we didn't have these to-do lists as far as I know, right? But when we see these things or hear these things, cortisol and adrenaline spike. Our body is made to protect us. Our digestion slows down. It's not the right time to have to run to the bathroom. Our blood sugar goes up. We need sugar in the blood to pump those muscles, and our immune system shifts into attack mode. We're going to need to be prepared to fight. When this happens occasionally, our body recovers. Think about a dog. So a dog is approached by another dog or something scary, and they raise their back and their hair stands up on their back and they're all alert. Maybe they're barking, maybe they're just like that. And then it goes away and they shake it all off and then they go take a nap, right? They completely recover. And unfortunately, we haven't learned how to really do that unless you've taken some classes and things and learned how to take care and do that for yourself. That's something I've been working on in the last just over a year. When it happens daily, that alert response, staying all stressed out, your body stays inflamed and dysregulated, and you end up exhausted. This is why stress leads to autoimmune flares. So I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease back in 2007, and it was a fluke. If you haven't heard my story, then I have another video on that. Maybe I'll link it at the end. But I didn't know anything was wrong with me. I thought it was my personality, right? And so who knows how long I had an autoimmune disease? Who knows how long my body was fighting different tissues inside? But stress can do that. It literally tells your immune system you need to be staying on high alert. So even if you feel fine, your body always tells the truth somewhere inside. Now, I do blood chem analysis where I study people's blood work and I explain it to them and teach it to them. It's something that I love to do, and I look at it on a functional medicine lens. And so sometimes I can see that too. I'll say, you know what? You need to go and get tested for X, Y, and Z because you're showing this trend. I think there may be an underlying autoimmune disease. It's something that I can spot in the blood work. I've been studying this for a long time. So here are some early signs that your stress response is running the show. And you may find that this is a very familiar list. It's very similar to the one we had last week on blood sugar. You have afternoon crashes. Maybe you need that 3 p.m. nap. Maybe you need a snack and a nap. You're waking up between 2 and 4 a.m. That's the liver's time. So maybe something's going in the liver, but that can be stress related. You're craving sugar, salt, or caffeine. That was also in our blood sugar. You're irritable. You have this overwhelming emotional response to things. You're overreacting to things. You have bloating and digestion issues. Because, like I said, if you're in danger, it's not the time to have to go and sit on the toilet, right? Everything slows down. And when that slows down, toxins recirculate, the gut lining gets irritated, our whole microbiome shifts more into a pathogenic system. And we have hormone swings. Maybe you have PMS, maybe you're having hot flashes, and you could have flare ups during these stressful times. So, when I say flare ups, I'm talking more about autoimmune flares for those of you who do not have autoimmune. But your body is always talking to us. It's not being dramatic, it's saying, hello, pay attention to me. I need to feel safe. When I was healing from Graves, I thought I was doing everything right. I do have these perfectionist tendencies. And as someone who loves food and has been studying food for a long time, I perfected the diet. I did all the research into supplements. I was really making sure there was no processed foods, completely whole food, plant-based, but I was still inflamed. I was still exhausted, and I was still wired and tired. It turns out my problem had nothing to do with the food and the supplements and the nutrients. It was the fact that I was living in a permanent stress response. And people have been telling me forever, you're so calm, you stay so calm. It's because I have that fire on the inside. Remember, I told you I had that like vibrating inside. I can feel it in my chest, vibrating if I don't let things go and I don't set clear boundaries and protect my body. So it turns out my problem wasn't my food. I was just always stressed. I had to teach myself to eat slower, which I already was pretty slow at eating. So that wasn't really an issue. My grandma was the slowest eater in the family, and I think I've always been second. Breathing before meals. Back to that eating slower, though. One thing I was doing was eating at my desk, like eat breakfast at my desk, go, eat lunch at my desk. And really the only time I sat down for a meal was dinner. I mean, I'm sitting down at lunch and breakfast, but I'm doing other things and not paying attention to my food, and that can add stress. So eating slow, sitting at a table and being mindful about your meals, slowing down before your meals, taking a breath, saying a blessing or a prayer, just something recognizing this, I'm about to eat this beautiful meal. I'm grateful for this beautiful meal. Taking a walk after dinner helps with blood sugar, but also helps with resting and digestion. Not going for a run, just taking a walk. And creating a calmer routine throughout the day. For many people, it's a 5-minute mini break throughout the day. If you eat 3 meals a day, that can be waking up in the morning and just having a quick little, what am I grateful for today? And calm, doing that before each meal and then before you go to bed, right? 5 mini breaks just to let my body know, hey, I'm safe. And so when we do that, that can lower autoantibodies. That can improve digestion. We go into that rest and digest mode. And it can also help us have a more elevated mood, especially if we're thinking about the things that we're grateful for. If you start naming all the things that you're grateful for, all the many ways that you're blessed, you can never run out of things. I mean, especially those of us, we're here watching Zoom or watching YouTube, right? Watching these things. We have power, we have electricity, we have food. We can get entertainment from a TV. It's not just playing with sticks, right? We have to remember that it's not just about the food. It's also a state of mind. So here's our biology breakdown. Stress shuts down digestion. Undigested particles irritate the gut lining, and that activates an immune response. Stress weakens our gut lining. That can lead to leaky gut. That increases our chance of autoimmune disease if we have those genetic tendencies. It can also lead to allergies and things like that as well. Stress suppresses thyroid hormones. Stress can weaken thyroid cell receptors, and we need the thyroid for energy, for metabolism, and all of those. When we are stressed, it injures those receptors, those thyroid hormones can't get in, and then we end up chronically tired. We have weight changes because our metabolism was just thrown off because our thyroid controls our metabolism, and we end up with mood swings. Stress also depletes nutrients. So when we are stressed, the adrenals are in charge of kicking out those stress hormones. The adrenals use up more vitamin C than any of our other organs and glands. It is also depletes magnesium. It depletes our B vitamins and zinc. And the vitamin C, we're one of the only animals, maybe the only animal, that doesn't create our own vitamin C, which is why it's so important to eat dark leafy greens raw and raw fruits and vegetables. We need those vitamin C, those that need vitamin C that gets destroyed when we do cooking or when things sit on a shelf. So broccoli has lots of vitamin C if we eat it today, but if it's picked and then it's packaged and then it's shipped across the US and it sits on a grocery store shelf, by the time we eat it, it doesn't have a lot of vitamin C. So we want to eat as fresh as possible. Stress raises inflammatory cytokines, which weakens our immune system. So I think cytokines kind of became a household word when the pandemic hit because it was so related to our immune system. When we have inflammatory cytokines, our immune system gets confused and it's reactive, and our body is just, we're supposed to create cytokines to fight, but when it's chronic or we have too many or they get confused, that's when we start having problems. So that's why it's important to calm our nervous system. It's not something that we need to try to achieve. It's something we must achieve. It is foundational. We have to calm our immune system. So one of the things I teach my clients, well, not one, so some of the things. Number one, eat in a relaxed state. So getting calm before your meals. Don't sit in front of the computer. I'm telling myself, right, sit down, take a deep breath, chew thoroughly, drink your solids, chew 30 times. Start counting 30 times when you chew. And it's going to be hard the first couple of bites, but then when you get to bite 3 or 4, you're like, 30 is not even enough, right? We want to really drink those solids, really let those enzymes kick in so that we can better absorb those nutrients. Don't multitask while you're eating. And when we come up with a steady rhythm, that helps to regulate our system. Take a nice walk, 10-minute walk to calm the nervous system is wonderful. It stabilizes our blood sugar and helps bring calm. Eating grounding foods. So grounding foods from the ground, like warm vegetables, soups, herbal teas. I'm thinking grounding foods, root vegetables. Those root vegetables are very calming for the system. They can really help with sleep. Eating some root vegetables at dinner can help with sleep at night. Leafy greens, bitter herbs. We have learned here in the US to crave more sweet foods. We need to start incorporating those bitter foods. They're so important for our whole body, but especially our liver, and we're finding more and more how important the liver is. And then winding down appropriately. So for me, after dinner, I dim all the lights in the house. I'm doing some gentle stretches. I like to do some restorative yoga poses or legs up the wall with a warm compress over the eyes before bed. That really tells your body, hey, we're getting ready to sleep. Having a bedtime tea. I love bedtime tea. And having no emotional conversations or frightening, traumatic movies or TV shows, right? Calm, fun TV, things that are kind of, you don't really have to react to. Those can really be helpful. And then those micro moments of calm that I mentioned before, just slow, deep breaths. One of the things I did is I set my alarm on my phone to go off 5 times a day. My stepmom taught me this a few years ago. Just as a simple reminder, hey, pause. What am I grateful for now? Even if it's only for 5 seconds, 10 seconds. If you could do 5 minutes, 5 times a day, that is fabulous. But just those gentle reminders, those micro moments to calm. So one of my clients had chronic flares that always came up after a busy season in her business. And we didn't change her diet. We just focused on changing her routine. We added breakfast within an hour of waking instead of waiting till 11 or 12. We added in 10-minute walks after dinner. She and her husband were able to do that together. And that there's so many ways that is helpful and beneficial, not only for blood sugar and calming, but also for your relationship. A 3-minute pause before eating. And so 3 whole minutes, that's a long time for someone who isn't used to slowing down before eating, but that made a huge difference. And then 1 herbal tea every day. And so for this client, it was a bedtime tea. Some clients are afraid to have tea at night, and so it's waking up and having an herbal tea in the morning. But within a month, her flares went away. Her anxiety went away and she felt grounded for the first time in many years. So it's really wonderful. She didn't need me to take things away. She just needed a little bit of structure and to really know how to add calm into her day. So if you've been fighting your body, you're inflamed, even though you're eating quote unquote perfectly, your symptoms keep going up, especially when your stress goes up. Now that holidays are approaching, that's very common. This is the time I want you to seek calm. Inside my membership, the Culinary Healing Circle, we don't just talk about food. We create routines and we work on mindfulness and regulation of the body and helping to teach the body to feel safe enough to heal. Your nervous system is always speaking. Are you listening? It took me a long time to learn how to listen to my own body. Your body is listening. Your symptoms are showing us what's going on in the body. They are a reflection of what's going on. When we calm the mind, we calm the immune system, and cooking can help us to create that change. You know me, I'm all about the food. Safety allows us to stick to it. So share this with a friend who's living in fight or flight and needs a little reminder to get back to her body and listen. And come and join me inside the Culinary Healing Circle at culinaryhealingcircle.com. The first month is free. When you do that 1 month free trial, you can cancel it anytime. I welcome you to please join me. I'd love to see you in there at culinaryhealingcircle.com.